welcome to my Flosstube. I'm Allie Z, and this is my second Flosstube, and I'm super excited to be back and recording. Thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm super excited to be doing this. I've thought about it for a long time, and I'm finally just doing it. And actually I thought I would feel sort of shy when my first video went up, but actually it was really exciting. Like, I loved talking to everybody. I loved getting everyone's comments. I was super excited to film again, and then I didn't have time to film for like 2 weeks. So now I'm back. I meant to film last week, but they were doing some work on my house and it was very loud. So I decided to wait and come to you from a quieter, calmer Monday, which seems sort of like an oxymoron with Monday, but it works. That being said, I am also using a new microphone, so hopefully the sound is a little bit better on this video. If not, then I have no answers and everything sucks. And hopefully this fixes the problem. I also remembered to put my phone on Do Not Disturb this time, so hopefully that helps too. We'll see. So welcome to my Flosstube. Before I start, I just want to shout out my lovely aunt who is not a cross stitcher but saw this shirt. It's a Life is Good shirt and it has little cross stitches, and she sent it to me because she said that it made her think of me, which really made me happy, and now I think of her every time I wear it, which is really nice. So yeah. So I've had actually a big couple of weeks in cross-stitch land, in cross-stitch terms, I suppose. I have 2 finishes, which, y'all, this will never happen again, like never. So be very impressed. But I have 2 finishes for my second Flosstube, and both of them are big finishes that I'm really excited about. So I'm gonna show those off first, and then I'll show you what I've been stitching on. So first up is my Modern Folk Embroidery Move Forward in Love Pride sampler from last year. I was close to a finish in my whip parade, and I was so excited and I just couldn't stop until I had it done. So here it is. This is Move Forward in Love by Modern Folk Embroidery. And oh my God, you guys, look at this finish. So I'm hoping to frame it sort of like this with some of the space around the edge so you can really see all of those gorgeous rainbow colors from the fabric. Again, this fabric is by the Stitchy Ferret, one of my favorites. And it is stitched in DMC 310. It is 14 count Aida. I stitched it 2/2, and as you can see, the coverage looks really good. When you get up really close, so I'm gonna bring it closer, you can definitely see the individual X's, but I like that. I like that, especially for a sampler like this. I want it to feel cross-stitched. So I'm super pumped about that. This is one, I'm not a finisher. I don't love finishing projects because then it means I don't get to stitch on them anymore. And I especially am very bad at FFOing. I'm much, much more of a process stitcher, but this is something that I really, really want to get up on my wall because I just love it. It's so bright. It's beautiful. The stitching is really awesome. Yeah, I'm just really happy with it. I'm ecstatic that it's done, and I can't wait to see it up in my house. So that's finish number 1, and then finish number 2 was also a big finish. So I mentioned in my last video, I love Nora Corbett, I love Mirabilia, but I don't stitch a ton of them at a time. I have a lot of the patterns, but I try to really only have like 1 or 2 on the go because otherwise I just get overwhelmed and they're big projects. But I have a finish on one. This is Sea Witch. This is a Nora Corbett pattern, and here she is. You guys, look how gorgeous she is on this fabric. So this fabric I got at Steel City Stitchers from the Crafty U, EWE. They were the pop-up LNS at the retreat, and this was a cut of unknown fabric, just like a square one-off that they had at the Crafty U shop, and I picked it up and thought this would be perfect for like some sort of Mira or Nora, especially like a Sea Witch or maybe like a dark, some sort of one of the Bewitching Pixies. And then I did a floss toss on this and was just enchanted. She looks gorgeous on this. I love it. I will say these tentacles, beautiful, pretty confetti heavy actually. Because if you look at like these little tentacle ends, that's like 4 or 5 colors of greens in there. And so it was definitely, those tentacles were pretty confetti heavy, but the top actually, I mean, her hair is all black and her dress is pretty straightforward. It's just those tentacles took a bit of time. But I love how she came out. She looks beautiful. The beading really adds something. You can see like the beads and the tentacles are really cool. I love her necklace. The beaded necklace is really neat. So I'm excited to get her framed as well. The one thing, and I did mention this in my whip parade, for some reason, my Q-snap left marks in the fabric. So you can see them here. They're like little, they almost look like little flat places, but it's almost as if like the dye got scraped off or something. I don't really understand what happened there. But I want to try and figure out how to get those out because there are some small ones, but then like that's from my Q-snap. And I don't want to see that in the finish. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I might see if I can like spritz just those spots and then iron it. Like if anyone has any advice or tips for that, holler at me because I want to do something about it. I just don't know what. I also just love the way she's placed on the fabric. It looks almost like her crown is glowing, which I love. So I'm really happy with how that came out. This is my second Nora finish. I haven't finished a Mirabilia yet. I'm working on Queen Bee, who's huge, and I've made some progress on her. I'll show you later, but this is my second Nora finish, and I'm really excited about it. So those are my 2 finishes. And I did also have some starts these past few weeks. Actually, 2 starts for 2 sals. This 2 seems to be a theme for this. Which is kind of cute because second Flosstube, haha. So one of my dear Stitchy friends, well, 2 of my dear Stitchy friends are the Stitchy friends on Flosstube, Sarah and Jen. They are honestly like they seem so sweet and awesome on their Flosstube, and they are even more sweet and awesome in real life. Like they are so nice, so encouraging. It was amazing actually. Sarah's personal Instagram is Stitchy Sarah Reads. And when I first met her at Steel City, at the retreat, she was like, "Oh my God, you're Allie Z. I recognize your smile," which just made me feel so good. And we ended up sitting together and it was really awesome. Anyway, during her whip parade, we noticed that, well, I noticed while I was watching that we had one whip in common, and it was Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. But she had also started 100 Owls by Owl Forest, and I have had that kitted up for a while, and I have actually, now I think it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have 5 or 6 kitted Owl Forest projects, and I had not started a single one at the time. And so we decided, okay, we're gonna work on our Owl Forest. Specifically, I wanted to start 100 owls because I'm a huge owl person. You can see from my beautiful, which way? This way, there we go. From my beautiful bookend here, this is from my grandmother. and I really love it. I love owls. I went to Bryn Mawr College, which is a women's college just outside of Philly, and their mascot is an owl, and there's owls all over campus, and so I'm like really big into owls. So we decided that we were going to do a stitch along, an ongoing stitch along. Anyone can join. Everyone is welcome. And we are going to stitch on our owl forest project every Friday. So the hashtag for that is hashtag Owl Forest Friday. I will put it on the bottom of the screen so that way it'll pop up and you can use it, and you can stitch on any owl forest project on a Friday. So given that, I actually started 100 Owls 2 Fridays ago, but I only got in a tiny start because my Fridays have been very busy. But this is 2 Fridays worth of stitching this little tiny corner. Here it is, Owl Forest Friday. Now, part of why I think I was reluctant to start an owl forest is because I have the actual owl forest threads, and they are beautiful, but they are very variegated. And I was feeling a little nervous about how that was going to look. But honestly, if you look at these threads, the variegation is just gorgeous. Like, it's so pretty. It looks really nice the way it's stitching up. I'm really, really excited about it. And as you can see, I did a lot of angsting, pardon my unironed fabric, but I did a lot of angsting about where to start because the middle of this piece is like a gorgeous, huge owl motif, and I didn't want to start in the middle and do all the cool stuff. Not that the other stuff isn't cool, but I didn't want to start in the middle and do all the cool stuff, and I really prefer starting on the edges, partially because I'm totally paranoid about having enough space. So I measured approximately 27 million times and did a top left start. Now, I am using kit fabric, and Owl Forest cuts their fabric pretty tight. So like the margin on this side, I think, is like 1 inch. And I really didn't have more than 1 inch or 1.5 inches of space. And I'm not sure, I mean, hopefully I measured right and it'll be about the same on the other side when I get to the end, but it's tight. It's definitely tight. And part of why I wanted to start in the corner is because I was worried if I started like slightly off center, it would mess up all the margins. So if you're stitching on Owl Forest kit fabric, know that they cut their fabric with tight margins. So if you don't like a tight margin, don't buy the kit. Get the pattern and the floss and get your own fabric. But I like the way this looks. It's on, I think it's called like natural linen. It's a 32 count, so I'm doing 2/2 with the Owl Forest variegated flosses, and so far it's been really fun. Like I said, I love the way that variegation looks. It's beautiful, and I cannot wait to see how the rest of the floss stitches up. So that's gonna be whenever I want, but also every Friday for Owl Forest Friday. And I'm working on that with the Stitchy friends, especially Stitchy Sarah Reads. And I know Memphis Sarah E., who's awesome, joined us. I'm trying to recruit Samantha, the Hygge Stitcher, to join us. So we'll see. Hopefully folks are getting some stitching done on their Owl Forest projects. So the next start that I had was also a stitch along. It's been exploding on Instagram, which is very exciting. And that was for the Live in the Sunshine Sal, which again, I'll put the hashtag on the bottom of the screen. And that is for Samantha, the Hygge Stitcher's birthday month, which is August. Happy birthday, Samantha. And she wanted to start the Summer Quaker by Leela's Studio. Now she's stitching the Spring Quaker by Leela's Studio, and they did a stitch along for that over the winter. And I was not gonna stitch it. It's not really my style. And then when I saw Samantha stitching on it, I was super into it. And then when I saw the Summer Quaker release from Nashville this past March, I think, it is so pretty. So I'll insert a picture here of what the Summer Quaker looks like, which is what I started on August 1st. And this is for hashtag Live in the Sunshine Sal. And here is where I've gotten. This piece is actually my first 40 count stitching. So I'm very proud of myself. These X's are super tiny. So here's my little start. And like, even from back here, like you can see how much smaller the stitching is than my 32 count stuff. And gosh, those stitches look gorgeous. They're so like, they're delicate and they're small and they look so even because they're only one strand. So I'm stitching 1/2 on 40 count latte, which is the called for color. Now the called for fabric is actually 46 count. That's what the model is stitched on, 46 count latte by Fiber on a Whim. But Leela, the designer, actually recommends that you stitch it on 40 count or above. I think when I had actually messaged her to ask about it, and she said that she stitched it on 46 count somewhat accidentally. And I was too nervous to try 46 count anyway. So I'm stitching this on, like I said, 40 count latte by Fiber on a Whim. And I got this from the Stitcher's Garden. They have some cuts in stock that I haven't seen elsewhere. They also can custom cut fabric for you, which I really appreciate. But like I said, here's my start on the 40 count. It's definitely smaller than I'm used to, but I do like the way it's stitching up. It looks beautiful, especially for like a more traditional Quaker style piece like this. Like I'm really liking it. I don't know that I'll switch over to 40 count all the time, but I'm really enjoying stitching on it for this piece. And I'm using all the called for DMC. There's a lot of blues in this pattern. So interestingly enough, I think it's sort of hard to see in this light. But this blue of the diagonal line and this blue of this motif and this blue are actually 3 different blues. And you can see it in person. It's a pretty subtle difference. I think you can really see the difference in this one. It's like a bit grayer than this. This is sort of more, oh gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. But this is a bit deeper than this color. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of different blues in this piece, and I think it's gonna be really, really beautiful once I'm getting it all stitched up. But I definitely have to be careful. I'm using Pattern Keeper for this one, so that way I keep all my blues straight, and get it all right. The other thing too I'll say is I enjoyed stitching this border, but for some reason I kept like accidentally stitching it too close, and I kept having to frog out these little swirlies and restitch them. I don't know why. My brain was just not comprehending how that needed to go, so I had to be more careful than I wanted to be. I'm hoping once I do it, because this border actually goes all the way around the inner image in the piece, and so I'm sort of hoping that when I stitch the other legs of the rectangle, I can get a little bit more into a groove with that. This is also my first Quaker style sampler, and so far I'm loving it. So that's fun. And then I stitched on a few other pieces these last few weeks. So I mentioned that I'm working on Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I'm sure you all have seen it many times. It's a massive, massive piece. I have been thinking that I might set a vague, very ambitious goal for myself to sort of prompt myself to work on this piece. So I'm 35 now. I just turned 35 in May. And I've been thinking that I might set a goal to try and get this done by the Halloween where I am 40. So that is 5 years and a few months from now, which is a lot. It's like, it's at least 2 blocks a year, and I still have like the full coverage blocks to go. I haven't done any of those yet. So I mostly, actually, I think I only worked on borders on this. So each block is 92 by 92. and each block has a black border. And I know if I leave those borders to stitch, like I'm not going to want to sit there and stitch them. I want to be able to start the blocks when I want to. And so when I'm in the car and I need something easy to stitch on, or I'm like watching something and I want to be able to pay more attention to what I'm watching, I will stitch on these borders because they're fairly easy to stitch. It's just like a straight line. And while there is counting involved, I can count off of the other borders that are already there. So last weekend we went to the beach, which was lovely. And then this past weekend we went up to the lake. I have many friends who have beautiful vacation homes, so I very happily take advantage of that and get to hang out with them and spend some time away in the summer. So my amazing, perfect, wonderful boyfriend did all of the driving and I did stitching while we drove. So I finished another border here for block 5, and I started the border for blocks 6 and 7, which are like a big double block in the middle. And what I usually do is I do half stitch all the way around, and then I go back over and I fill it in for a full cross. So it doesn't look like much, but each border is like over 350 stitches, I think. So it actually is quite a bit of stitching. And like I said, it's good car stitching, so it's good for travel, and that way I get it done and I can use the time where I can focus on like other stitching and hopefully for working on those blocks. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm setting that goal of getting it done by the Halloween that I'm 40. We'll see if that happens, because yeah, I have 1.5 blocks done, which means I have 10.5 blocks to do in 5 years, which end the borders. So that's 2 blocks a year, which is, I don't think I've been doing 2 blocks a year so far. So yeah, I gotta get moving on that one. Alrighty. So while I was at the beach, I took advantage of the fact that it's beautiful and sunny and light. And I stitched on this, this piece, ironically enough, has actually become sort of like my beach piece, because the beach house just has all this light and it's like really easy to see. And so I've talked about this before, stitching on dark Aida is tough. This is 14 count black Aida. I always have to put something white behind it. But I finally hit, this line here is the halfway point of this piece. So I finally finished filling all that in and hit the halfway point on this piece, and I started the next line of little ghosties while I was at the beach. So you can see I still have the second half to stitch, but I love this piece. I really enjoy the bright colors. I love this color palette. Part of me wants to pick like some other Halloween patterns and stitch them in this color palette, because I just think it's really like fun and it feels like Halloween without being like traditional like red, purple, green, which I like. So yeah, so that's getting a little done at a time. There's no rush on this one. Like I said, it's fun, but I only work on it during the day and only when there's a lot of light, so conditions have to be ideal for stitching on that one. So then the last and final piece that I got some work in on is my queen bee, my big Mirabilia that I'm trying to get done for October. So she has a big section in the middle of her dress that is all 310. So I am working on filling in that section and leaving out, there's also a lot of beads and metallic stitching in there. So like this whole row is like metallics and Kreinik and beads. So I am leaving space to fill those in. And so I started filling in these black stitches in the middle. These are all half stitches because I, again, do a half stitch and then come back in and fill them in so I don't have to look at the pattern all the time. So I had mentioned my goal for this is to get the actual queen done for the retreat in October where the Queen City Stitch Retreat that Maggie of Kitschy Wits is hosting. I'm like really, really hopeful that I can get her done and put her on the brag table, maybe work on her there. I love her. Like, she's really fun to stitch on. And also, I will say it again, this dress is a beast. But it's a really enjoyable stitch. It's looking beautiful. Like, the shading that Nora achieves is just gorgeous. Like, if you look in this red, like, there's different reds in here. There's some orange up here. And you can really see, like, the folds of the dress and the way that this fades into the yellow. It just, oh, I love it. It looks beautiful. And I can't wait. Like, beaded and all stitched up, I think she's going to be gorgeous. So, and because she's on a scroll frame, like, I tend to only work on her when I'm like sitting on the couch and have a good amount of time. When I'm on the go, I don't really bring her with me because she's big. And also she's on a paper pattern, and I don't love working off a paper pattern, but we make it work. But I'm excited to see more progress on her. It's sort of funny, I realized this month, like, I'm on the go for almost every weekend of this month. Next weekend, I'm actually going to be at the Grace Note Stitching Retreat, which is just outside of Allentown, which is about an hour from me. I'm really looking forward to that. I'll take some footage of the brag table and put that in my next Flosstube, hopefully. I love Corinne and John, who are the owners and dyers at Grace Notes, are so lovely, and I'm really looking forward to going and getting to hang out with everyone and stitch for 4 days. We'll see. I've been considering bringing my Mira to that. Normally I wouldn't, but I'm driving, and I know that, like, Corinne is stitching on a Mira, although it's her retreat, so she probably won't be stitching much, but you know. So we'll see. I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna bring, but yeah, we'll see. I definitely do want to bring my Owl Forest because I'm gonna be there on a Friday. Maybe I'll bring another one of my Owl Forest kits to start. And I'll probably bring the Live in the Sunshine Sal, the Summer Quaker, because I'm really enjoying stitching on that. But we'll see. Yeah, I also have some of the pieces that I worked on at my last retreat, the Jan Hicks Pride flag and the floral lace piece by Works by ABC. Those are smaller, but I would like to make some progress on them as well, so we'll see. I do sort of struggle. So I pick a lot of really big pieces, and I struggle because I'm not a fast stitcher, and I feel really torn because I want to see those big pieces get done. It's why I choose them. But I also have these smaller pieces that I really enjoy, and I see a lot of progress when I work on them. So I sort of struggle with, like, where to allocate my stitching time. Ideally, I would grow a set of octopus arms and I'd be able to stitch on like 7 things at once, but that isn't happening for me yet. Honestly, I probably should hope it doesn't, because if I grow several extra sets of arms, like, something is very wrong. But I would like to be able to stitch on more than one thing at once, or get faster. Like, that would be nice. I don't know if it's like a time thing or a, like, I split my attention and watch TV thing. Like, I'm not sure, but I've noticed, like, a lot of people just stitch faster than I do, and I'm not sure how to speed up. I mean, I don't want to speed up at the expense of the quality of my stitching, but I would like to get more done. Again, I'm a process stitcher, so it's not even about having the finished product. It's more about, like, getting the opportunity to stitch on as many patterns as possible. So I don't know. If you have any tips for stitching faster, I guess leave them in the comments. I don't know that I don't know that I'll be able to ever push myself to stitch all that fast, but it would be kind of nice. So I don't know. Maybe like I said, maybe it comes with time. Who knows? So y'all don't need to know this about me, but I will tell you, I am like a sparkling water addict. I drink it all the time. I love it. I buy it by the case full and keep it in my fridge. If you ever see me drinking water, it'll probably be sparkling water. So there were a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about in my video. One of them is I participated in the Lunar Swap that Heather, whose Instagram is Link is my homeboy, ran. And I sent out my piece, and I will insert a photo of it here. Now my piece, I did not get a very good photo of it before I shipped it, which I kind of regret. I wish I had a better photo, but it came out pretty well. I enjoyed the way the finish looked. I don't really feel very confident in my fully finishing abilities. Sarah from Stitchy Sarah Reads from Stitchy Friends is an amazing finisher. Jen too, like their finishes are just gorgeous. They really and Sarah especially, I mean, she finishes pillows, she frames things, she puts things in hoops, like they all look so good. And I definitely don't feel as confident in my finishing abilities. But this one came out okay. Definitely something I maybe need to practice, or I just need to accept that it's not my thing and send out my finishes to other people. We'll see. But I did want to show the item that I received, because I really love it. So this was my Stitchy Gift, the piece that was sent to me, from the Lunar Swap, and I absolutely love it. It's really pretty. It's funny, it actually uses a similar color palette to my piece, including, so it's really hard to see on camera, but yeah, you like cannot see it at all on camera, but these, like the gold edging and these yellow stars and these moonbeams are all done in étoile. And for those of you who have not stitched with étoile, honestly, it looks awesome. It looks amazing. The sparkle cannot be captured on camera, but you really can see it in person. And it looks sparkly. Like it looks glittery. It's awesome. It's not the same as metallic thread in the way that like glitter and metallics are not the same. Étoile is more of a glitter effect, while metallics are more of like that shiny metallic effect. And my partner did a really beautiful job on this hoop. It's all like, it also has glitter all over it, which I love. I'm a very glittery person. And they actually finished the hoop with, I think it's a piece of like cardstock on the back. So it made like a really nice finish, and it sort of hides the back of the hoop, which is lovely. I'm really excited to hang this up. It's really beautiful. And then each package, we also sent off a couple of extras. And so my partner sent me a rainbow moon needle minder and rainbow floss, and she wrote me a little note that said that, you know, she was like, oh, you're a really colorful person. I like wanted to honor that in your gifts. And I really love it. They're really lovely, and it felt really good to get something exciting in the mail, and I loved mailing mine off. I hope my partner likes hers as well. So that was really fun. And then the other big thing two other big things that I did this past couple of weeks. So I'm stitching a full coverage. I'm stitching a mini Haid. And before, I literally had the DMC in little baggies, labeled by number. So like I had a Ziploc that said 400, 500. I had a Ziploc that said 600, 700, 800. And I would like rummage through the Ziploc for the floss that I needed. And it got very annoying. And I could never find, it was a pain to find the floss that I needed. So I just sucked it up and I sat down and I bobbinated all of the floss for my Haid. It's mini teacup bath, and here it all is on little bobbins in its own box. The box goes, I have one of those big Amazon mesh bags, and I just throw the box in the mesh bag. And there are some bobbins that are currently living in other project bags, either in kits or in stuff that I'm working on. And the way that I labeled that is I put like a little card in. You can see it in the front here. So 842 is in beach, please. So that way I can find it if I need it. And speaking of finding things if I need them, so this is the other thing that I've been working on. So, Nati of stitchy.nati on Instagram came up with an amazing, you guys, amazing tool for organizing your Stitchy stuff. Now, you have to enter everything into this. So there is some work up front, but ultimately the template that Nati has created is amazing. And once you enter everything, the upkeep of it doesn't take nearly as long. And you guys, it is awesome. Okay, so there is a program called Notion. It is a free database program that is internet-based, so you can go to it in any browser. And like I said, it's free to make an account. And it is basically, like I said, it's a database program, and I am not a techie person at all. So I don't know how to explain this in technical terms, but it is basically like having a spreadsheet, but like a much more dynamic version of that. So instead of just having like cells with information, you can link different, the only way I can describe them is like cards, basically. So you can link different entries or cards to each other so that if you click on them, it takes you to the other entry. So it's a way of, for example, and this is, so for example, for a whip that you have, you can enter, okay, I'm stitching on Queen Bee by Mirabilia, and then in the fabric column, it will say, let's say, 32 count dark gilded, and you click on that, and it links to a separate entry which has all the information about your fabric. So who the dyer is, what size the cut is, what color family it's in, and you can make it so that all of those things link together. And Nati has created a template so that all of the infrastructure to do that is all set up already. So you don't have to create like, what does every field say? Where do I enter this stuff? Like, what information do I want? Now you can add things. I've added some stuff to mine, but the foundation and the building blocks are already there. Now, I am not an organized person. I have ADHD, I'm neurodivergent. Like, creating those systems, can't do it. There's something about it that just, my executive functioning just like doesn't really allow for it. That being said, having the system already in place and just having to enter the information, that I can do. And so having Nati's template for Notion means that I can enter all of my whips. I can enter all of my patterns. The biggest thing for me that I'm really excited about, it's also the thing that's going to take the longest to set up, but I have a full DMC set floating around my house. Technically, I own every color of DMC floss. However, I keep floss in different project bags. And so half the time I'm looking to kit something up and I'm like, oh, I need 939. Like, where is all of my 939? I only need 300 stitches for this pattern, let's say. And so I'm like rummaging through my different bags, like trying to remember, where did I last see 939, whatever. Using this Notion thing, you can click on 939. There's a whole thing with floss. You can click on 939 and you can see, for example, all of the whips that you have that use 939. And there's even a field that says like location of floss. And you can see, oh, my bobbin of 939 is in, I don't know, my full coverage mini teacup bath. Great. I'll just go there and get some floss. So having the ability to know where things are, particularly floss, is something that I'm really excited about. The Notion template that Nati made also allows you to track like how many stitches you're doing, what you're stitching on each day. It tracks for like several years into the future. So if that's a thing that you do, you can use it for that as well. I don't track number of stitches. I have tried. I lose track and I get mad about the counting. If Pattern Keeper counts them, I'll count them, but I don't, it's just not my thing. But if it is your thing, then you can actually, like, you can look at a calendar view and see, you know, what you stitched on which days. So it's really, really awesome. I would encourage you to go take a look at it. The template is super cheap. I think it's $9. And it's on Nati's Gumroad site. I will link to that below. And also Nati has an awesome Instagram and is a really great person. Like, they've answered all of my questions when I've messaged them. They've, like, you know, been really encouraging about using the template, and it's hugely helpful. I think it's $9. It's probably worth twice that, honestly, at least. But right now it's a steal, and the program itself, Notion, is free. And it is 100% worth it. Awesome. Great. Like, I'm so excited about it. So go take a look at that for sure. Alrighty. So that's everything I have to talk about today. I want to say that I'll be back next week or the week after, but who knows with how my schedule has been lately. That being said, as we all know, I stitch what I want. So my guess is that I will keep stitching on the Owl Forest, keep stitching on my Summer Quaker. I want to work more on Queen Bee. I'm going to the Grace Notes retreat. If folks are interested in seeing like the brag table or like haul from that retreat, leave me a comment below and I would be happy to show you that stuff when I get back. I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. So everyone, have an amazing couple of weeks until I see you again. Keep on stitching. Okay, no, I hate that. But yeah, keep stitching, have a good time, take care of yourself, be kind, stay safe, drink water, all that good stuff. And I'll see you soon. Bye.